So let's get the NBA out of the way first, because I do have a handful of college basketball. We bet, I can't even see that number, but it's Sacramento Kings minus 7.5 and 8. Miami Heat on the money line minus 115. Thunder minus 7 and under 223. So that's Sacramento, Miami, the Thunder, and under. Now, some of the college basketball sides: 757 Monmouth minus the deuce, 775 Delaware plus the 8, 762 Louisiana Monroe plus 8 plus 7.5, 779 or 775, I think that is, Kennesaw State plus the 6. Move on down to 802 Southern Utah minus 2. Next game after that, 803 Tennessee State minus 3. 807 Southern Illinois at a pick'em. Move over to 837 Cal Poly minus 6.5 minus 7. 864 Hawaii, last game on the board, the midnight game minus 10.5 and 11. Finally, the added board, 306 573, forgive me, Western Georgia plus 14.5. And real quickly, three totals for you: 827 under 146 Oregon State Portland, game 831 over 851 over 140 UC Santa Barbara Cal Irvine, and finally 835 Northern Arizona Portland over 146. So those are the sides and totals we've already got into as of about 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Thursday college basketball is like those teams that no one's really excited about, but we tend to do well. You tend to get value on those because bettors that bet every day, they're still going to get down. It's like they're going to stop just because there's not that primetime game, with Duke playing. They're still going to bet the Monmouth versus Stony Brook if that's the only thing on the board.
Cannonier has been in the UFC for a long time. Long career. This will be his 19th fight within the promotion. And, he's fought a lot of high-level guys throughout his career, fought for the title against Israel Adesanya back in 2022. But, he is a powerhouse of a man. But the one thing is time is starting to catch up with him at this particular point now. He's 40 years old, going to be 41 in March. And, you're just starting to see really a decline where talk about explosiveness, he looks like he's starting to move a little bit slower, especially over his last two fights. He took a beating in the last two fights. And that's the one thing, even over his last 5 fights, that you have seen consistently where, over the last 5 fights, the damage he has taken in significant strikes is 656 significant strikes, which is a wide margin here compared to, just for context, you got Rodrigues, who was at 134 significant strikes. Now, absorbed. Now, obviously, when a guy there's an early stoppage, those kind of things that, obviously can change those numbers. But reason I'm bringing up is the fact that this guy's 40 years old. He has taken a ton of damage, and the way he fights is starting to change. He used to really be very aggressive. He'd come forward, he'd throw big shots, and things now is when he gets hit, he starts to backpedal a little bit. He doesn't absorb his shots as well. And also the fact that he just faced Kyle Borralho not long ago, took 5 rounds of absolute ass kicking. And now we're here about to face, again, another tough guy where you got Rodrigues, who has multiple advantages in this spot. And the first thing he's going to have is going to be youth. He's going to be 8 years younger overall. He's going to have the faster hand, backed by big power. And one of the things that he does very well defensively is check leg kicks. That's something that Cannonier does do often. I think that he can check those. And the main thing here for Rodrigues, why I do think he gets his victory, is the fact that he is well-rounded. He's a guy that is going to look for the takedowns, can mix it up, have good boxing. So in this spot here, I do like Gregor Rodrigues to get the job done. I think he's catching Jared at the right time. And I think this is going to be inside the distance. I don't think we're going to see the scorecards here. I think that you're going to see Rodrigues land big shots, either get the knockout or something kind of finishing on the ground here. It's at minus 130 inside the distance. So I like that spot for Rodrigues. And you've got the UFC vet in Hill versus the UFC newcomer in Catlin Souza. And this line was sitting around minus 150, 160 about a week ago. And money has consistently come in on Souza. And I do think it's a little bit of an overreaction. She just had, a flashy knockout victory. And also the fact that you've got Angela Hill, who's now sitting at 40 years old. Now, obviously, she's at the tail end of her career. She's been a journeyman fighter. She's been, 17 and 14 in her career. Not the greatest, but The difference between her and, Cannonier at 40 is Cannonier's taken massive amounts of damage, and you are seeing the decline. Where Angela Hill, I feel like you haven't seen the fall off yet. She has not taken that much damage. And if anything, there's been, a little bit of a resurgence with her where she's 4-2 out of her last 6. The only people that she's beat lost to was actually, pretty solid fighters in the division. Mackenzie Dern, Tabitha Ricci, at least they're substantial when it comes to just the caliber. And also, she's beating the high level, losing the high level females, beating the mid tier to low tier. And that's kind of where I put Katlyn Souza. I put her in kind of that mid-tier to low tier. And Katlyn really has one way to win, I think, in this spot. It's going to be landing the kill shot again, coming forward. She likes to pressure. She's going to, throw everything with 100% power. And I don't think she has the ability, to really win this fight on the scorecards. She has to look for that finish. And I think that's really where Hill is going to have to find a lot of success. She has the better footwork. She's better at range. And I think the biggest thing really, for Hill, and you've kind of seen it consistently through her, is her volume. She really pushes out a high volume here, and I think that's where she finds the success, landing the pitter-patter shots while Souza is overthrowing, and she's going to find success there. So I think this is for Hill. I think it's a good spot. I don't agree with the line movement, and I think that Hill can stick and move, defend the takedowns, and I think she probably wins on the scorecards. But at this point here, you may get Angela Hill by fight day at plus money, but right now at a pick'em, I think it's a good spot.
If you do plan on betting Nebraska and they remain at -1.5, I suggest the money line. Where are you going in this game?
Well, this one here, you're looking at it right now. Maryland's playing their best ball of the year. They've won 7 of their last 9 games. They cracked the top 25. They're sitting there at 25. Their 2 losses in those last 9 games were by just 2 and 3 points. So Prez with the money line, probably good move there because they do play close games. However, you look at this Nebraska team, and they've been like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. They are one of the streakiest teams in college basketball. They won 6 in a row in December, only to follow that up with losing 6 in a row in January. Now they're back on a winning streak. They've won 4 in a row heading into tonight's game. We do find that Maryland, on the road, straight up, since 2023, they're just 7-22 straight up on the road. Now, I realize they're an underdog tonight, but as you said, we're talking about a point spread of just 1.5. So basically, they got to win the game to get the money. So that 7-22 is an important stat. The other stat that is important with Maryland is when they are on the road and we have the line in between the threes, that means it's a coin flip game, +3 to -3. They are just 1-10 against the spread since 2023. Maryland won the first meeting by only 3 points. But we find that Nebraska, when they play with revenge since 2023, an outstanding 14-3 against the spread. Last thing I'm going to throw in there, you've got ranked versus unranked. This is just a little angle that I like to look at. It'll put me on the radar of a game, whether it's college basketball, college football. People like to bet those ranked teams. And when you've got an unranked team that's a favorite, that generally draws my attention. And that's going to have me line up on Nebraska tonight. They are a veteran team. This team, their top 9 players based on minutes played, Prez, 6 of the 9 are seniors. I'm going to go ahead and take Nebraska tonight at home.
Yeah, there you go. And we understand a senior wanting to bet on seniors. Marco D'Angelo joining us, everybody. These teams want to beat the Warriors. Houston tonight, -6. Are they going to cover that spread?
Well, Golden State's not quite ready to ride off into the sunset just yet. That's why at the trade deadline, he went out and got Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler, that's a trade move that I question. We'll see how he gets along as the season progresses with Draymond Green, who can be quite a character himself. But I'm looking at this one. It's the last game before the All-Star break. This is Houston's 3rd game in 4 days. It's also their 6th game in 9 days. And this is a situation, too, that because of the travel they've been doing, all of these games have been in different cities. So this is a team that's got a little bit of fatigue factor that we're going to look at. This will also be the 4th game since Jimmy Butler has joined the Warriors. Now, we know that when another superstar joins a team, there's a little bit of a period where you got to get the team has to gel. They got to find the right chemistry. The players got to learn what their new roles are with each other. And you've seen the minutes go up on Jimmy. First game, he played 28 minutes, then 31 minutes. Last night, he played 35 minutes. Houston hasn't been playing well as of late. They're 2-6 their last 8 games. However, the 2 wins were their last 2, which followed up. This team played 6 in a row on the road before coming home. And they've also played 8 of their last 9 games on the road prior to coming home, and they were all in different cities. They had one home game sandwiched in between all those road games. So I expect Houston right now, who is a little bit of an undervalued commodity because of the recent streak, but I feel that recent streak is more due to the schedule and playing on the road. They will start to play better. I'm going to go ahead and take them to keep this streak going. And as far as Golden State goes, you talked about that 1-point loss. Golden State, since 2023, as good as this team has been, Prez, they're just 10-20 against the spread when they're revenging a same-season loss. So we're going to go ahead, take Houston, and we also find that Houston plays better at home. And if they're at home off a win in their previous game, they are the previous home win. Yep. 23-10 against the spread. So we got all the angles going to Houston tonight. We're going to ride them minus the points.
That Marco, the Thunder are playing the T-Wolves. How are you betting this game?
Yeah, this one's going to be a short one for you, Prez. Rough scheduling spot for OKC. They're playing great. I know that. But they played last night at home. Now they got to travel to Minnesota. I know they're on the winning streak, but how excited do you get to roll into Minnesota? All-Star break on the horizon. Sometimes these players like to check out a little early on vacation day. Minnesota played last night as well, but they played at home, so they're at home again. And that sets up a stat that I got to give credit to Stat Daddy, Ralph Michaels. He supplied this one for me. Home teams, the last game before the All-Star break, if they are coming off a straight-up loss in their previous game, those teams are 107-79 against the spread. That tells me to take Minnesota tonight. And we find that Minnesota, since 2023, is a home underdog, 19-7 against the spread. I think this line is inflated because everybody's jumping on the OKC bandwagon. I'll take Minnesota plus the points.
There we go. Marco D'Angelo. It's a personal play, and I'm giving it out now, and that is Shea over 31.5 points tonight. Here's the angle, Marco. A few weeks ago, Shea set the Canadian record for points in a game at 54 points. Last night, Jamal Murray gave him the one-up and set a record, 55 points. These guys are alpha males, bro. Jamal Murray lay the gauntlet down. This is Shea's next game after the Canadian record was set, 55 points. Now, I am not suggesting that Shea's getting 56, but he's getting more than 31.5 tonight. Take that to the bank, Marco. Shea over 31.5 points. I love this bet.
Let's take a look at Jalen Green, under 23.5 points. This is a crazy one, Prez. You remember when I talked about Bam Adebayo, how he's never made a three-pointer against Orlando?
Yes, I do.
Jalen Green has played Golden State 12 times, and he's never gone over this number. Not only has he never gone over this number, he averages 12.8 points, and he shoots 28% from the field against Golden State. Like, he is horrific against Golden State. I don't know what the defensive scheme is, because this goes back a couple years, so there are different players that are in here. He's gone under in his last 2 regular season games and 4 out of the last 6. For whatever reason, Jalen Green just does not perform against Golden State. So he hasn't been going over this number anyway in the regular season that much. Bad matchup. I guess you got to fade him again. We're going under 23.5 for Jalen Green. And then Mike Conley over 2.5 rebounds. It's a really low number. This is all about Julius Randle. He's played in 4 games without Julius Randle, and he's gone over in all 4 of those games. He's had 6, 6, 6, and 11 rebound chances in those games. And the Thunder, he's playing tonight. Pretty good rebounding team, but they do give up 6.7 rebounds per game to point guards. So without Julius Randle, this is a bet on, and the Thunder giving up a lot of rebounds to guards. So Jalen Green, under 23.5, Mike Conley, over 2.5 rebounds are your NBA plays. This is a nationality bet. If you're on DraftKings, for example, you just click on Live Golf, go to nationalities, and you're looking for top Great Britain and Ireland. So, Prez, I wrote this last week. Tyrell Hatton, top Great Britain and Ireland. This is the write-up for last week. So it was minus 130. And I said, if they're going to give this play to me at minus 130 every week, this is going to be an auto play. He's up against guys like Paul Casey, Richard Bland, Tom McKibben, Sam Horsfield, Ian Poulter, Graham McDowell, and Lee Westwood. Most of those guys are older, and they're not nearly in their prime like Hatton is. Tom McKibben's a young up-and-comer, but he's not on Hatton's level. And Sam Horsfield doesn't do well on the Asian tour. This cashes last week. So I'm thinking to myself, well, no way we're getting minus 130 this week. And I was right. It's plus 110. We're getting a 40-cent better price this week on Tyrell Hatton to be better than all of those guys that he easily was better than last week. This is a guy that finished top 5 in the last 5 events of the year. He's one of the best golfers on the Live Tour. I'm going to play this every week. So this is anytime there's a Live Golf event, it's Tyrell Hatton, top Great Britain and Ireland. Once again, if you're on DraftKings, for example, click on Live Golf, click on nationality props, and then go to top Great Britain and Ireland. This is just rinse and repeat. You're playing this one every week.